Good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this October 17th version of AM Live on EOA, on the EOA network. Glad you're here with us this morning.
Morning.
How are you, man?
Good.
Good.
Second Monday.
Yeah. It looks like the weather is straightening out a little bit.
It's supposed to get all the way up to 80 at the end of the week, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to get that little last ditch.
That last thing.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Well, that'll be good for the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. Chris Jennings will be with us here in a bit to talk about those happenings. So
I don't usually watch news, you know that.
Right.
Like I don't,
yeah.
But I have been like listening to stuff about the whole Palestine just because I was like interested in learning a little bit more, and it's that whole situation's crazy, man.
No, when you look, there's lots of info videos on, going back 100 years.
That's what I've been. I've been looking at the history, not necessarily what's going on today.
And it's a mess. Yeah. I mean, it is like, it's why,
it's got people in America doing dumb stuff too. You know what I mean? Like anti-Semitic stuff. Like the Palestinians.
You hear about? I think it was in New York City. There was a guy who attacked a Palestine mom and kid and stabbed the kid to death.
Yeah, those people just need to get shot.
Yeah, it's like
put them down.
Yeah,
I hate to say it like that.
But I think that in our political, in our whatever this thing is that we're in, it's really people want others. Well, there are some people that they'll glom to one side or the other. You're either black or white, whatever the case might be. And it's just like you forget about the people in Gaza Strip, there are many, many innocent people that have no support of Hamas whatsoever, but their lives are being terribly impacted by that. And as the point is that, people are complicated. We can have two thoughts in our head at the same time. You can be sympathetic for one, but at the same time be on another particular side. That's what makes us thinking people.
I don't want to sound insensitive to it, but there are also people that are so concerned about what's going on over there when right down the street from them they got people starving.
Right.
I don't understand that. Like you look at there's people putting all this effort and time into trying to figure out what's going on over there, and in the same town that they live in, they have homeless people, homeless veterans. Right. It's like what the other thing is to me, like, people are just looking for a reason to get raw, especially Americans. They're just looking for a reason to get divided and like rawed up right now. I don't like it.
No,
makes me
like
nervous.
there's a trigger finger on anger and
it makes me super nervous.
Yeah,
not a fan.
Yep. Well, all right. Other stuff. You want to talk about Fords?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Big Red Rocking Chair on Elm, off Adams and LeGrand. Go see the Daggett family. They support local sports. They support everything local, and that's kind of how this whole thing works. I bring you guys the sports information. You go support them. They support me. LHS football lost a tough one on the road on Friday. 21-0 to Crook County. They're in a must-win situation the rest of the way out to make the playoffs, and this is going to be the first time we haven't made the playoffs if we don't in a while. It's been a rough rebuilding kind of year, and it's just kind of how it is, like it comes in ebbs and flows, and we're on what is the ebb the down or is the flow?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think the flow is the up.
The flow is the up, so the ebb is the down?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Good question, huh? LHS will host Pendleton on Friday night right here at Community Stadium, 7 p.m. It's homecoming. It'll be live streamed right here on the EO Live network with me. I think we'll probably go live at about 6:30 like usual. There's, like I said, it's homecoming, so there'll be some halftime festivities and stuff like that.
I think we will have a guest from EOU during halftime. I don't know
Okay.
if that's, yeah.
EOU homecoming kicked off for me with a trip to the softball alumni game. It was a long Saturday for me. Um, that's Carly Jensen from LeGrand. She's a freshman at EOU now. She played right here for LeGrand, and then that was a 9:30 a.m. game. And then I made my way over to football where EOU hosted Carroll. They fell 14-6. It was a heartbreaking game. They were up all the way through three quarters, 6-0, and then in the defense finally gave up a touchdown in the fourth, and then offense fumbled. They run back a kick. That's what made it 14. But it was by far the best game of the year for the Mounties. There's another LeGrand native, Parker Robinson. He played a lot on Saturday and was a big contributor. The Mountaineers, man, they have this week off. They're playing better football. I mean, this team is not bad, really. And then from football on homecoming Saturday, I went to volleyball, where EOU hosted Northwest on Saturday. They beat Evergreen the night before. Northwest is the only team that had beat them all year, and they came out and swept Northwest on Saturday. It was no problem.
That's good.
There's the reigning defender of the week, Miley Mills, and then the reigning setter of the week, Alexis McMurtry. They play tonight against C of I, their travel partner at 7, right here at I say Community Stadium, Quinn, right here at Quinn. And then one more game left still after this. It culminated on Saturday night with EOU men's basketball's alumni game. And that's fun because not only do we get to see old players, there's Kobe Gardez, Zane Wright. Zane's dad is the girls basketball coach up at the high school here. You get to see the new players, and this is a freshman from Seattle, Kamala. I don't know his last name. Kamal. We just call him Kamal. But he's going to be a big impact player for EOU this year, and that's the fun thing about alumni games. You get to see the new players for the first time ever, really. I mean, in public playing, and it's quite exciting. We're going to be good. Kemp has done a really good job with what he's got going on basketball-wise. That's why it took them 2 years to hire him, which is a tragedy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's like, come on, we should have hired him after his first year. First year as a head coach, you take your team to the national tournament, you're hired if you're an interim, in my eyes.
Yeah.
We waited a whole nother year, and I was like, what are we waiting for here? Like, the dude took this team to the national tournament his first year.
Yeah.
But he's the head coach now. EOU volleyball goes to Portland this weekend. They play Warner Pack on Friday, Multnomah on Saturday. Right now they're 21-1, and they sit third in the country. And I mean, barring either the top two teams lose, we move up. There's no doubt about it. But if they don't lose, we stay at number 3. And I almost like that better. Like, let's just not be number 1.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that target. You know, that's a tough target to have placed on you going into the national tournament. Of course, we have the CCC tournament, which if we win out from here, 5 games, so we have 2 weekends left after this. If we win out from here, we host the CCC tournament because we win the regular season, and that would be huge because playing Corbin at home is better for us than playing them in Salem, which would be they're in second place. Actually, no, I take that back. Right now, Corbin's in first place, even though we beat them. We're tied with losses in the conference, but they have one more win than us because they played their travel partner last week. We play our travel partner tonight. So after today, if we win tonight, we're in first place in the CCC. Like I said, one more time, LHS football this Friday. Kickoff at 7. We'll go live about 6:30. And, yeah, it's homecoming. Pendleton. It's going to be a tough one, man. Well, I don't know who makes these schedules, but I'm not a fan of picking Pendleton as the homecoming game. I mean, you're supposed to play a team that, you know, I hate to be blunt, but a team that you're going to beat. I'm not saying that we have no chance at beating Pendleton, but they're the toughest team in our league.
Yeah.
And I guess they did it last year. We went to their homecoming and spoiled it. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's a scheduling issue or I mean we could have made homecoming the Madras game a couple weeks ago, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but it is what it is. Friday, 7:00 kickoff right here. This is all brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Go see the Daggett family. They have awesome American-made furniture. They want to make you comfortable in your own home.
Yep. Good. I went to the EOU football game on Saturday too, and that was a heartbreaker. I mean, and they are looking good. I mean,
so much better than the first few games of the year. They're clicking. Just offensively, they didn't do a lot, and mistakes. And I'm going to talk to Camp about that today. That'll be on EO Live Sports at 5:30. The Camp interview, and the biggest question is going to be the red zone. Like, we got in the red zone. We had 3 chances to score where we didn't score. And we're calling these plays like I'm sitting over there like just dumbfounded by some of the play calls in the red zone. Like, we had the ball 1st and goal from the 1.5 yard line, and we're throwing a screen pass when we have Waylon Rydell and Brody McMillan, and we can just try to pound the ball up the middle 3 times and score.
Right.
I was kind of dumbfounded by that. Like, really. But I mean, there's a reason why I have a camera and he's got a clipboard.
So what happened? The touchback. I mean, that quarter. Did they?
That was just a fumble.
Did they? But the other team recovered it in the end zone.
If you fumble and the ball goes through if you're in play and you fumble and the ball goes out the end zone, like through the end zone, it's a touchback. It's their ball.
So since it was in the very corner, it went in the end zone and out the side.
Yeah. He fumbled. He definitely fumbled. I was standing right there. There's no doubt.
Well,
he was in play, and the ball went over the goal line and out the side of the end zone.
But had it been in the middle of the field and it had just gone into the end zone, then had one of our guys covered it, it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
Had one of them recovered it, it would have been a touchback.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. But that's the chance you take when you throw the ball to somebody who's never. That was a tackle. That was a tackle eligible pass play. Like, and the dudes probably never ran with the ball ever in college.
Right.
And I mean, I get it. It's a trick play, whatever. But that's the risk you take. I mean, the chance of him fumbling is higher than somebody that runs with the ball every game.
Yeah. No, and that was tough. That was early in the game. I mean, they had great momentum right out of the gate.
Yeah, the whole first half. If we score a touchdown in the first half instead of just 2 field goals, we win that game.
Right.
There's no doubt.
Yep. No, it was a good game.
We just choked in the red zone. I mean, our red zone offense was pitiful.
Several times.
Yeah. Anytime we got inside the 20, it's like, oh, okay, we're just going to soften up. Or like I said, from first down from the 1.5 yard line, we're going to run a screen pass. Like, what in the world? Like, just pound the ball up the middle. We have a 240-pound fullback that likes to hit people.
Yeah.
Like, run the ball up the middle, let him blast somebody and give it to the guy behind him and see if we can't get it in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yep. Well,
I'll talk to Camp about that today. He might not like it, but
it'll be interesting. Yeah. But you ask him some. I mean, I like those interviews because you do ask. I mean, some of those questions when I hear him, like, oh man.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. He wants those.
No, he does.
So
no, and a kind of our I mean, that's kind of what we do is we want to give opportunity to people like him to be able to respond to the things that people might be saying.
Oh yeah, because people talk smack about him on the internet all the time. Keyboard warriors. Yeah.
Yep.
You should hear it though. Like if there's a game like and EOU's losing, you should hear the people in the stands. My gosh, the drunk dads. Oh, that's what I call them.
I was surprised. I mean, there was during that first call where the refs called a touchback, nobody in the stands knew for sure what was going on. And this one gal down in front of me stood up, double bird at the refs.
It was the right call.
I know, but it was so funny because it was like I was like, man, that's way more intense than what I normally see.
Yeah, I guarantee you they watched that on film on Monday.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he did fumble, and oh, it did go through the end zone. You know what I mean? Like, it's people up in the stands, you know, they think they don't have a good view of what's going on the field, and they just automatically assume that the ref. And granted, the refs in the Frontier Conference they are known for screwing over UOU. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But that particular call, that was a good. They missed some pass interferences though. There was a couple times where we had guys that got hit way early and nothing. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, Chris Jennings from the Eastern Oregon Film Festival is going to be with us here. And as he's coming on the stage, I'm going to play you the trailer for that event. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, we're back with Chris Jennings. Glad you're here. Hey, I forgot weather, so let me just real quick. It's nice out, and then here's the clip for today. It's supposed to be up to 66, and then tomorrow 76, 80. Great weekend for Eastern Oregon Film Festival, right?
Oh yeah. It's been a couple of years since we've had good weather. We usually get smacked with some rainstorm or ice storm or something.
And you guys you guys do some outdoor stuff too, right?
Yeah, we try to get, filmmakers out and about and check the outdoors out. We usually have a beer garden, and the burn barrels and all that. So it's nice when the weather's good so people can congregate.
And then depending on whether you need the burn barrels or not, right?
Right, yeah. We always, it's nice ambience regardless, but sometimes you just really need them. They become a priority, but I think we'll be able to not burn as much wood this year and still keep the ambiance. So that's good.
Well, good. So the trailer that we just looked at, that there was you had something from every film?
I think there's small clip from all 44 films in there. So, you don't get a whole bunch of context from each individual, but a lot of really wonderful imagery and kind of insight into the program this year. So yeah, just a variety of narratives, both feature and short, documentaries, some musicals, some experimental stuff in there. So there really is something in the program for everybody.
That's probably, it's probably interesting. You put that together.
Yeah.
And that, to get all of that, gather all of that footage and then sort through and find something.
Yeah. Every year it's a challenge. And if you look back over our 14 years, probably 10 of those, we've had some sort of trailer of trailers. I think early we just featured the features, and but over the last 2 years I've really tried to get every film in there. So yeah, by the time we actually get all of the films delivered, or trailers, or small clips that the filmmakers are interested in sharing, it's just a big grab it all and start working through it and refining it. And there's so many brilliant moments in all of the films.
Yeah.
It's I kind of just have to pick one and roll with it and not think about it too much, because if I do, I can spend all year editing on this thing. So
and we and this too, whenever you have a project and there's just so much stuff, rather than looking for the best, sometimes you're just looking for something that works.
And if this process, you start to try to automate it a bit, because you just have so much content you're trying to work through pretty quickly. By the time we actually have all of the information about our program, we have a very small amount of time to disseminate that to the audience. So, that's why we rely on the website and as much information and trailers we can put on there and really drive people there, because we're constantly adding more and more content as it comes and becomes available. A lot of these films are brand new, they're fresh into the festival land, or, so they haven't had a year of publicity work done, or promotional work. So it's like pulling teeth to get still images and posters and that stuff from these folks.
So how many did you say?
44 films total this year.
And then how many filmmakers of those films actually come in or in there?
It looks like we have about 20 of those films represented this year. So we're looking at somewhere between 25 and 40 guests this year that are directly related to one of the films. We have some alumni guests who are coming back, people who've been here over the years that don't have a film, but they're just coming to participate and be around. And then, so that group in itself is a nice, cohort to have here and start building the party around. So.
Yeah. And that, it's been a few years since I went to the film fest, but one of the things I thought was really fascinating was kind of the question and answer period that you have after some of those films, because especially if you're a technical person, and you're wondering how did they do this or whatever. And that was, those are really fun conversations.
Yeah, we really do. We'll do that for every film that does have a guest this year. They'll be available to have a 10 or 15 minute chat after either the short block they're involved in or the feature. But then they'll also be around HQ a lot as kind of the festival headquarters and social hub. And so I'm really encouraging, just community conversation and engagement. I think that's something that separates our festival from others. Is I went to Sundance this last year. It's the first time I'd been to Sundance, which is a huge film festival and what you might think of when you're thinking of film festival. And it separates out the artists pretty from the community or from the audience pretty dramatically. It's high value artist thing, and they have their own experience. And if I'm an audience member, then maybe I've got enough dollars to get to the right screening or the VIP to meet that person. Whereas our festival is really like, I just throw everybody together and say, here's some safe places for the artist to hang, but mostly we're a community and we want to share this whole thing with you and learn from you as filmmakers, as people of diversity that we don't get to interact with much. We're very happy to have you in our valley. So I think that's what's really unique as an audience member, is you can look forward to, having a drink with a filmmaker at a bar later in the evening, or, stumbling into these intimate conversations throughout the community around some of these topics in films, or you just wouldn't have that opportunity at any kind of high A-list festival.
So talk to me about what goes on in the mind of a filmmaker, like that, how are these things birthed? Because it's a little bit, and it's taken me a while to kind of get my head around all of this and understand it, because I just came to production from a different perspective. So, but these are all heartfelt projects. I mean, it's like each one of these people have started their own little business that's unique, that may or may not be widely popular, whatever the case might be, but it comes out of their heart. I mean,
these are all passion projects. I mean, these are hardworking filmmakers who are also working in the industry and maybe doing other technical jobs or have had experience through certain ways, but they're coming from it from an artistic standpoint. And so these films are really passionate stories or passionate subjects that these filmmakers are chasing down or documenting and working at that grassroots scale on almost all of these. You'll see kind of a range of budgets and production value in our program, but this is all of these films are up and outside of the amateur filmmaking realm, and these folks all have chops and all have budgets enough to make their vision palatable in the way we consume cinema. So that's really great, is the program's curated to a sense of that I'm going to go and watch it and nothing's really going to be a dud. It might be weird or it might be different, but visually, technically, production wise, it's going to resonate as a cinematic experience for me. But yeah, these cats all come to it with efforts of getting their own funding through producers, independent producers, family, friends, fundraising efforts just to get it done. Usually spend a year to 2 years to 3 years on these projects, and then they finally get a chance to be seen, and they push through this festival circuit. Ideally at a high-end festival first that might be able to match up with a buyer or a distributor, a streaming service, or somebody who's going to purchase the project. But most of these don't ever get there. They self-distribute. They work on a lot of independent streaming services to get it out and to work at breaking even in the long run on these projects. So it's not commercial, it's not Hollywood, it's not pumped out for the masses. They are very like you said, just they're passionate projects. So each one has that kind of core creative and artistic flavor in there that is unique to, I think, independent cinema.
Well, and when you look at, and now mainstream cinema has just gone so, I mean, it's a whole nother conversation. It's just, I don't know where it's gone, but I mean, it's gone to this thing of like, the audience and what they will digest is the premier target.
Right.
That is everything,
Right.
and, and when you look back at films, previous to this time, there was a little of both. There was a passion that filmmaker wanted to give a message, but they knew that somebody else would enjoy watching that or being a part of that experience too. Yeah. Where, if I'm understanding right, an independent filmmaker, their first thing is, this is something that I want to make. Would you think? I mean,
yeah, I think I would agree, and I from an artistic lens, I think that's super important.
right.
is to start from that spot. But as these filmmakers work with communities and networks, there is that compromise of, well, we've got to sell this thing at some point.
Right.
We got to make enough money back, because these aren't like $10,000 budgets. These these grassroots independent things are $100,000 to $500,000, and they're spending real money and they're doing a lot of work. So to recoup that money, the only way you make money on a movie is either people are in a movie theater watching it and somehow I get ticket money from that, or I get a distributor or someone to buy it up at a flat rate and take care of it for me. And so there's always that effort of looking for the right audience or enough of the right audience to support, the film as it, can move into maybe a profitable realm. So it may start that way for independent film, but along the way, as you're building and you're going to festivals, you are thinking about your audience. It may not be the global Hollywood audience, but you are working to facilitate an interaction with your audience through your story. And it's not a complete selfish journey, right?
Right.
But it has to start there. And that's where I think a lot of these projects start, as a very passionate idea, or a filmmaker stumbles upon a subject that, I have to tell the story of this person, or I have to, get this out. And that really becomes a drive for them. And people, are magnetized to those projects. So
it's kind of funny. On the opposite end of this is I watched a movie not too long ago, majorly released, and China has this enormous influence now into mainstream movie making, and so movie makers that want to market towards China, they got to make sure that they check that box, and they're not going to do anything that's going to piss off whomever it is, And I saw a film the other day. Well, it was the shark movie, Meg 3 or something like that, and probably a third of it was in Chinese, and they had subtitles for English, and it was just so obviously, so obviously that, so anyhow.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've globalized so much, right? That, you're not, any film that you make has the capacity to be seen by anybody in the world these days. So when you're talking blockbusters and you're really talking about the numbers and, using huge data sets to promote your film, then it's just going to be torn apart and catered to the right test audiences to make sure that it makes its whatever $200 million back, and they pay for the shark, or whatever.
Well, and I mean, it really, I did not enjoy it. I mean, I was entertained just by the crazy, stupid storyline.
But you watched it.
I went into it knowing that that's what I wanted, something that was like, we'll put it on and we can come and go and, and stuff. But it wasn't. I mean, I have a passion for storytelling. I mean, that's part of what makes us good at video production. Right. Is we're trying to understand the story of our customer and tell that story to whomever it is. I mean, that, and so that is the opposite in my mind of like good storytelling, and so I didn't enjoy it from that standpoint. But anyhow, but back to so then the filmmaker they'll start with this project. And so then the reason they're taking it to different film festivals is essentially to get exposure, to shop it around. And they're hoping that somebody is going to see that and go like, wow, I have a connection with Netflix. Can we get that on? I mean, how does that happen?
Typically, for most festivals, there's, that networking and marketing aspect for potentially selling your film or creating that space for it. Our festival is really not, you're not coming to our festival to sell your movie, right? But what we are is, and we've been noted as, one of the coolest festivals in the world by Movie Maker Magazine. And, it's an experience for this group of filmmakers to come together and really kind of create their own new network. It's like, it's such an intimate gathering that those filmmakers who do make it here always kind of gel and have their own little, relationship moving forward. And a lot of that has to do with our valley. So what we've seen over the last few years is those groups working kind of outside of the valley to come up with ideas that end up coming back to the valley. So maybe we've got a filmmaker in Atlanta, maybe there's one in Chicago, maybe there's one in LA. They've all come here. They've all involved themselves in the festival somehow, or maybe they participate in the residency program we've done, or they've, just engaged. And now they're making stories out there for here and looking to fund it and come here to make it, right? So that's one of the bridges we're creating is one, a fresh location palette. Like this region is so untapped in terms of the visual aspects of this landscape. And so every time we bring filmmakers here, they're overwhelmed by like, wow, I don't see anything but mountains. Like never do anyone else, they don't experience the thing we experience typically,
and we take for granted.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's always refreshing to have them come in and kind of reflect on our valley back to us and to the staff, because it gives a really unique perspective about where we are at and how unique it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think part of the festival and what it's been known for at the artist level or the filmmaker level is that chance to come and really just be a person, like not have to put on the filmmaker facade and, kind of play with all the other high-end filmmakers and try to hustle and move my movie the whole time. They're really coming in to share it openly with a community who's willing to watch it, to talk about it, create a good feedback loop around their project, and in doing so, interact with a very close network of, 10, 15 other filmmakers to really get that feedback as well, because they're all going to watch their movie and talk about it. And so they really leave with a sense of being heard. Their story's been seen. Our community here, our audience members locally are great. They love going to the festival, love talking about the film, and the filmmakers really respond to that. Like having a good conversation afterwards that carries over to the bar later in the night or whatever. Like those filmmakers remember that and they take that with them. And that tends to be the reason, like word of mouth, that gets people back here. Like they want to come spend a weekend to really just be a creative artist in a place they've never been with other, creative people and just hang out.
Yeah. So how was it? I mean, what was your takeaway from Sundance as to how it applies to here?
I would say that, what was nice about Sundance, and I this is my first time going. I work for Eventive, which is our box office company as well that we use for the festival. But Eventive does box office service work for lots of festivals. And last year they took on Sundance, so I got to go with that. So I was a little bit kind of behind the scenes a little, and I got to kind of experience it all. And looking at it, it really, like, I can see us being exactly what Sundance was when it started. Like it's really, I mean, Sundance is huge now. I mean, it's, everything just turns into Sundance. You got ski lifts going right into town, and it's just packed full of movies and skiers. And they're all, it's just
And
crazy.
where's that at again?
It's in, not Sundance. It's Utah. It's in, why can't I remember the name?
It's
He's on it.
Yeah.
This is watching too many movies.
The ski area,
Yeah.
right? Just outside of Salt Lake.
I shouldn't. Yeah, we all know that. We'll find this.
Yeah,
Everyone's
okay.
Googling it right now. But it's a tiny town, right?
Park City.
Park City. Thank you.
Okay.
They had the Olympics there not too long ago. So
Yes,
it was
okay,
definitely a huge investment
Right.
into like transportation and stuff like that within the
Yeah.
town. But it's a small town. Like the downtown is really like no larger than ours. It's probably even smaller than our downtown. It's all on one big hill, which is, you have to hike up and then down. And so it's neat. I mean, you got all of these weird venues that are big places over here in hotels, but then you can just walk to Main Street, which is really like up and down parties the whole time. Vendors and different, after parties and booths and sponsors. And so, it's from like, if you pull that all back 20 years ago or whatever, Redford's running around up there, using the Egyptian theater on top of that hill as their movie theater. Like I can see the spirit of what we are doing here being kind of the seedling spirit for where Sundance is now. And, Sundance is way too big as far as I'm concerned for
How many people come in for that?
Oh, there was 100,000 plus there,
Wow.
probably, I suspect.
In a town that has less than 10,000.
Yeah, it's like Pendleton for Roundup. It's like, it just fills
Park City's
up.
got like 8,500 people.
But, they extend into Salt Lake. There's Salt Lake screenings and,
Right.
there's a peripheral there. But, it's not something that I would ever want to see our festival grow to. But I think that we have the capacity here, which we don't have capacity in a lot of ways in this region for many things.
Right.
But I think that we have capacity to grow this festival to be a very, very sustainable entity that really does put like a feather in our cap as like, this is a unique cultural destination event. And LeGrand owns it.
Right.
It's not the Roundup. It's not rodeo.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
But it is something that has the capacity to have a major economic impact on our community, a major cultural and artistic impact on our community, which and just a quality of life piece. Like we all deserve opportunities like this to interact as humans with other humans in a positive kind of reflective way on storytelling, and we all learn from stories, and we all learn from visual stories. So it's really just a great opportunity for us all to take advantage of some new ideas as fodder for conversation and as a chance to interact with each other, like to get back to interacting with each other.
Right.
It's important.
Well, and that brings up a really interesting, I mean, that what Kyle and I were talking about at the very beginning of the show, where everybody is so polarized we've kind of lost the ability to listen to someone outside of ourselves, outside of our own belief system, or outside of our own biases, or whatever it might be. And that is, I mean, I can see why that would be a cool melting pot, where the focus is not politics or values or whatever. The focus is this cool video or this cool media piece that you guys are looking at.
And the stories within there, I mean, they might
right.
be politically charged, right? Like American Thief is a film that plays, I think, Friday morning.
Right.
It's all about election fraud and, and kind of conspiracy, Trump election stuff that, could be a hot topic for somebody if they wanted to. But because of the triangulation of it, it's presented as a story, there's a filmmaker there to present their perspective. It kind of diffuses any personal, and so it just opens the platform for an opportunity to learn about it rather than to go fight about it or get it.
It's like you're talking. It's almost you're talking about this topic objectively in some manner. It's because it's a piece. It's a thing out there. It's like an art piece that's sitting on a table, and and you can kind of take it in. You might not like everything about it, but you can appreciate it's standing there in its
Absolutely.
own.
And that shared appreciation is what, really does, it impacts the festival, and everybody kind of feels that quality. And it, as you participate throughout the weekend, you do more and more of that as a group. By the end of it, people are just, they're bright with, oversaturated. We take in so much information. And that's why we have the music after parties. It's really a chance to, shake that all out and, try to digest everything you took in all day. And that seems to work out. So
let's go back for a minute and talk about economic development, because again, that's something I've spent, the last few years spent, quite a bit of time in that space. And again, it's taken me a while to get my head around it. And I've said this more than once, is that the Eastern Oregon Film Festival is a unique event. It's like the Pendleton Roundup a little bit, but I mean, it's a unique event to LeGrand that, and it's probably at this point, it's probably the most single event builder that brings people in from outside of the valley. And the only reason they're here is to go to the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. And in the meantime, they're staying here, they're spending money here, and so on and so forth. And for economic development events, that's a huge win. That has so many of the big points that are really important.
And I've, over the years, I've worked, within, started with Main Street before it was Main Street, and spent a lot of time on that. And it's always been very important to me to really prove the case for it. And there's not a lot of work, not a lot of volunteerism and support going into the festival. So it's how many things can I get done, right? But we did put together an economic study 3 or 4 years ago, I think, through the university prior to COVID, that kind of summed up our impact over the 10 years or so that we had done at that point. And it was a really great, it was upwards of $1 million of impact, at the time. And, looking at that gave us a lot of kind of key indicators as to where we wanted to push. So one of the things we developed over the last few years was this residency program. So we've done 2 of these over the last 4 years. And that just brings a few filmmakers here for a month to write movies about and around this place with the hopes of producing them here. Not a whole lot of requirements, but a lot of opportunities to connect and network. So 2 of our residents will be back this year with films that they had made at the festival, but they've also started working on scripts that are potentially producible here. So this festival is also an opportunity for us to work with them and further that opportunity to maybe bring their production here. So outside of the festival, year round, we start seeing production opportunities come in, which is more or less like a large construction project, right? They come in for a month, set up, use vendors, spend money on food, lodging, hire local people, make a big thing, and then they leave. And so that seems like a win economically as well. It's and we've done most recently Breakup Season was shot here last year. That's getting close to ready to be seen by the world. And so that's a good case study of, we brought this production in, tons of people from Portland, LA up, hired a lot of local people, put them in the movie. We got local musicians featured in the movie. We, locations everywhere, LeGrand centric in terms of location. And that's, I hope it sees distribution, but we'll see it here at least. Right. But that's a really good case study for what we want to start building on an annual level. So if we can have a festival, we can have a production, and then starting this summer, because we do the residency every other year, this summer we just got a grant from Oregon Film, and I think it's Creative Foundation through them, to reinstate our LeGrand Summer Film Project, which is kind of what started the festival way back when. A good week-long local project where people can get together as teams, make short movies, show the short movies in the summer, have a good time. So, we want to incubate and cultivate local creatives, right, match them up with visiting artists, support production. And I think by doing so, we can have a really good kind of ecosystem for independent film and industry here that can pay for itself and leave a positive economic impact on our community.
Wow, that's cool. So how do you fund these things? I mean,
not very well.
Yes. Yeah, I know what it's like to run a nonprofit. Yeah. So, but how do you, like the resident program? Are there grant funds that you go for after that?
Yeah, so we've been really excited about relationships with Roundhouse Foundation and Oregon Film Creative Foundation. Those two have been very helpful over the last few years in kind of positioning the residency and looking at this film project and really helping kind of, build and cultivate industry here, whether that's through external artists or local. And I think we're going to keep building those relationships. But other than that, like the Lodge at Hot Lake Springs, is super key for the residency. They're huge contributors, big help on discounting rooms so that we can support these filmmakers for that month. And then a lot of local, businesses, organizations kick in some sponsor dollars, and we do the ad stuff, display ads at the festival and stuff like that. A lot of personal donations, support like that, but lots of room in terms of need and where we would like to see the festival go to what it's going to cost to get there. So one of the things that I hope we can do in this coming year is really work with our community leaders, our kind of business leaders in the area, regional even, not just LeGrand, and really start talking strategically about like why it's important to invest in this nonprofit. Like, how can we subsidize some of the work going on here, because we know that benefit's going to come back. Mm-hmm. And so because of our just, it's me mostly, we have a few good volunteers that are, clutch for the festival and can work a little bit here and there throughout the year. It's our bandwidth, to have all those conversations, to really, do all that development that has to happen with enough time to get the money in the bank and support the project each year. So I would just say this year, for those who have not ever even went to the festival, like that's step one, like go to the festival.
Yeah.
Buy a ticket for one movie. Like that will provide revenue for us to keep doing what we're doing. And then hopefully that'll inspire you to, share it or, go to another film. And I think that what I found is if you just go, like you really go, and maybe, if you pick the wrong film for your first film, you're like, whoa, not what I was thinking, then maybe go to another one. But don't leave it at that. But mostly like look through the program. There's something in there for you.
Yeah.
And just make it your goal to go see one and see what it's like. And it really does. It tends to really put a twinkle in anybody's eye who steps into it, like unknowingly. Like we always have people like show up like, oh, there's a film festival. Oh, okay, I'll buy a ticket. And then, they didn't even know what was going on, but they're here.
Right.
And then by the end of it, they're expressing so much gratitude for the experience, the opportunities it had. Every year there's at least one community member that there's a takeaway story there that, their life has changed because of something that happened during the festival, whether it's a movie they watched or an interaction they had. Every year I could probably go back and put a very specific list of those impacts. So,
very cool. Yeah. So tell us how can people get information?
Cool. So festival.eofilmfest.com is the website that has all the event information. So there's a schedule there. You can order tickets direct from that schedule, per film. You can get a pass, which basically lets you get into anything throughout the weekend. That's all there under the pass tab. Everything's really contained there. Trailers are in there, film catalog. The after party stuff that are listed in the schedule, not a lot of information on the bands necessarily there, but you can check out the social media at EO Film Fest, see some of the band clips and references to those. But yeah, the 3 after parties, we're going to have Lo-Fi out of Boise, Abronia out of Portland, and Hill Folk Noir, who are good friends from Boise as well, playing their electric set on Friday night. But I also have local act Cut Hand, which is Greg Rollins, who's a local musician. People know from like Sons of Guns and other projects. But his son Ellis is 11 and is a killer drummer. And so their act Cut Hand is opening the festival Thursday night for the after party. So you can catch them. And then one of the visiting composers for one of the films, Ghost of You, is bringing her music set for Friday night as well. So she goes by MJ Upstairs, which is she's pretty kind of poppy and hip young cats these days. I'm getting older, but I still make it through the after parties. Takes a little work, but I get there.
I just the gymnastics of remembering all those names, whatever that might be. Yeah,
I'm surprised I got those that I did.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody, I'm like, don't count on me to really be a name dropper because I just can't remember any of them. I don't,
So, and I think Kyle put that in the comments, the URL.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
check that out. And then we talked earlier, I'll circle back with some sort of fun discount code or promotion that you can kick out.
Yeah.
As well on your social. So look out for that and some way to get a free ticket or a discount on a pass or something will come out. There's
good.
I would say EOU students, if there's any EOU students out there, there are 2 screenings that are just wide open, free to you. If you stumble upon the barcode that someone at the university should be giving out, there's a student award or student category, a short block at the Mackenzie. And then I think American Thief, which I mentioned Friday morning, is a free screening as well for students. So we do open the door for students to get involved because if they can get in there and catch it, there's a lot more for them to explore. And so a big shout out to the faculty and staff up there for really working with their programs to find ways to get their students to engage with our programs. Because almost every year we have films that work well within, a program at the university, whether it's political science or it's art or it's something. So matching that up with different groups and getting students to engage is really a great opportunity.
Well, cool. Well, Chris, thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here. Yeah. And appreciate the info. Appreciate you carrying this because this is, 14 years.
This is our 14th. Yeah. I would say help me out next year. I give myself 15. So we're going to be looking for some board members. We're going to be looking for some key volunteers, people who really can see where this is going and want to get involved over this next year. So hit us up.
Well, and I say this quite often, and that is that, the longevity of anybody who serves in this kind of a thing, a lot of times people don't know what they're doing when they get going, but they learn from their mistakes and they go along and it gets better. And
it's been a lot of refinement over the years.
Yeah. And the longevity of it really makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So well, cool. Well, Kyle, you want to
get us out of here?
Yeah.
On this day, which is what, October 17th?
It is.
1888, Thomas Edison files a patent for the optical phonograph. You know what that is, Chris?
Optical phonograph.
First video camera
First
ever.
movie ever. Yeah. Yeah, the optical phonograph. 1888. 1933, Albert Einstein arrives in the U.S. as a refugee from Nazi Germany.
What year?
1933.
Wow.
1956, the chess game of the century featured a 13-year-old Bobby Fischer defeating the U.S. world champion Donald Byrne at the Rosenwald Memorial Tournament in New York City.
Huh.
Back then, chess was, you know what I mean? Like in the 50s, chess was like the thing to be doing. We'll jump all the way to 2006, where the United States population reached 300 million. 2006. And then 2019, there was nothing interesting from like 2000 to 2023. But this is kind of interesting. The blob, the mysterious yellow slime organism, Phasarum polycephalum, with 720 sexes, moves and can solve problems, goes on display at the Paris Zoological Park. Yeah, that's crazy. A blob that moves and
So this
solves
is a man-made
problems.
organism, or
It has a scientific name. So.
more investigation to come.
Yeah,
but it sounds exciting.
Yeah, right.
There's a movie about that, I think.
Yeah, there is. The number one song in America on this day in 2003, Nelly, Shake Your Tail Feather. Quote for the day. Here it is. You should never feel comfortable. There's something wrong if you are. You should always feel under threat, on the edge of your seat and pushing yourself. With win one and you want to win more. It's never ending. One more time. You should never feel comfortable. There's something wrong if you are. You should always feel under threat, on the edge of your seat and pushing yourself. Win one and you want to win more. It's never ending.
Boy, that's where I live, but it's an uncomfortable spot to be, I tell you.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
It's never resting.
That's the whole quote.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks, Chris,
Thanks,
for being
Brent.
here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris.
Well, see you guys Thursday.